Good evening, and thank you for joining us for the 66th GCBX Annual Dinner. It is truly an honor to have so many leaders of the commercial contracting industry here tonight as we install a new slate of officers and hand the reins of chairmanship over to Brian Lever, Principal and Senior VP at Tandem Construction. Now I'd like to recognize and thank our sponsors for tonight's event. Without their support, this evening would not be possible. Tonight's presenting sponsor is PlanGrid. PlanGrid was invited to become a member of GCBX by one of their customers, Willis Smith Construction. Tandem Construction, the GC on the new Atlanta Braves spring training facility, is also a customer of PlanGrid. And after seeing this video, you'll see why these two GCs have chosen to do business with PlanGrid.
181 Fremont is located on one of the busiest off-ramps in San Francisco, yet we can only pull one truck up at a time. We have 3 different architects working on different areas of the building. The drawings, there's 5,000 of them. There are 58 subcontractors. There are 500 workers on the site.
With projects of this size, there can be so much documentation for one room.
We're always up against the challenge of schedule and delivery, so doing it right the first time in a safe and efficient manner is critical to that. PlanGrid is our #1 tool for having the information at the fingertips of those people doing their work.
It's super easy to use. You got your pinch zoom, your swipes for pages, your ups for your historical sheets.
It's on me in person all the time. If I see something in the field that doesn't look right or is incomplete, I can snap a photo of that. You can pull up the plan, put a note on there.
The biggest benefit to using PlanGrid is that everybody can be on the same page at the same time.
I use the tablet side by side with my computer to keep my drawings accurate and be able to look at the exact same thing that my field forces are looking at.
I can answer questions faster, which gets people moving on site faster, which keeps the schedule going.
The ability to get 8 hours of work done in an 8-hour day as opposed to 6 hours of work while I spend 2 hours hunting and searching for information. That's a direct result every day for every worker.
It's the #1 tool in construction at this point.
And it leads directly to a successful turnover of a project. That's why we go into construction. I mean, the people that work on this take it passionately. They love what they do. They want to get it done, and they want to do it right the first time. I definitively recommend PlanGrid to anybody.
A big thank you to Willis Smith and Tandem for bringing PlanGrid online at GCBX. I think they have a great tool. I hope you all enjoyed that video. So thank you, PlanGrid. Our award sponsor tonight is Gulf Shore Insurance. I'd like to welcome Dave Whistle and Joe Thompson to the stage to tell us a little about Gulf Shore Insurance. Dave, Joe, come on down.
Thank you, Mary, for such a warm introduction. Again, it's an honor to stand up here and be the award sponsor as we did last year. It's certainly a privilege and an honor, and it's a great event with all the hard work by Mary and Albany. We certainly thank them for that as well. Last year, I spent a couple minutes just talking about the association, our company. I thought this year, Joe, one of my counterparts, would get an opportunity to say the same thing. So, Joe.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mary. Just through applause, who here is proud to build? That's what I thought. Well, at Gulf Shore, we're proud to protect what you build, not just in the physical sense, but also in the sense of what you've all built through your successful businesses that you've forged over the course of your lifetimes in many cases. It happens through hard work, determination, fortitude, blood, sweat, and tears you've poured into these businesses over the years. You can't put a price on that, to be honest with you. And what do we do at Gulf Shore? We protect that. Dave and I's goal is to protect that. We're not agents. Dave and I are advisors. We take a proactive risk management approach to insurance with respect to identifying the exposures that you have that you may not be aware of. Because exposures sometimes are just on paper, but there's a lot of different emerging threats and exposures out there for the industry that you may not be aware of that we want to bring to your attention. That's what we do for our clients. We spend a lot of time with our clients. And the reason we can do that is because Gulf Shore is lucky insofar as we're not a publicly traded company. We're 100% private, independent agency, 100%, meaning what? Why is that beneficial? Well, Gulf Shore is not beholden to public shareholders. We're not beholden to private equity partners. We have the flexibility to do what's right for our clients. And as an agency, 150 associates, 5 different offices, we have one philosophy, and that's to put the interests of the client first at all times. And we're unwavering in that mission. So again, thank you all so much for the opportunity to be a sponsor, and we look forward to forging new relationships and nurturing the existing ones that we have. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave and Joe. Thank you again. They've been our award sponsor 2 years in a row. So thank you so much for all you do and all you do for GCBX. I'd like to recognize tonight's dinner sponsors: Aqua Plumbing and Air, BB&T Insurance Services, Benderson Development, Conley Buick GMC Business Elite, Core Construction, Everglades University, FCCI Insurance Group, Gator Grading and Paving, Gilbane Building Company, Gulf Shore Insurance, High Associates, iCard Merrill, NDC Construction Company, Neal Communities, Office Furniture and Design Concepts, PGT Custom Windows and Doors, Sable Palm Bank, Sarasota Ford, Service Contracting Solutions, Southern Structural Steel of Florida, Stabler Appraisal and Consulting, Sterling Manufacturing, Sutter Roofing Company of Florida, Tandem Construction, United Rentals, Inc., Waste Pro USA, and Willis Smith Construction. Thank you to all our sponsors for their support for this evening's event. Let's please give them a big round of applause. I'd like to also thank our many table sponsors who are listed in tonight's program. Now, I'd like to recognize the valued Keystone members of GCBX. The Keystone members of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange provide critical resources for GCBX to carry out its mission for the commercial contracting industry. Additionally, the marketing opportunities that are offered to Keystone members are a great value and provide real bang for the buck. This program continues to be more successful each year. So it is with special thanks and appreciation that I recognize our top-level Keystone members, beginning with our exclusive Diamond Keystone member for the past 5 years, Benderson Development. Todd Mathis, Director of Development, please come up and receive this Diamond Keystone Award on behalf of Benderson Development. Let's have a big round of applause for Benderson. Thank you, Todd. I felt really short, and I'm in like 6-inch heels. That was great. Now it's my pleasure and a privilege to recognize the officers and directors who served GCBX during 2017. As I say your name, please stand. And again, let's hold our applause until the end after I have recognized everyone. The members of the GCBX Executive Committee are Chairman Kevin Hicks, Gator Grading and Paving, our Chair-elect, Brian Lever of Tandem Construction, Vice Chair, David Cairns, Cairns Engineering Group, Secretary, Mike Bennett, Bright Future Electric, Immediate Past Chairman, Paul Steele, Climatic Conditioning Company, our Treasurer, Bill North Jr., HBK CPAs and Consultants, and our board members are Mary Forrestal, Forrestal Enterprises, Inc., Russ Bobbitt, Permorton Martin Insurance Agency, Jason Swift, John F. Swift Construction, Darrell Turner, Cypress Services LLC and Burke Construction Company, Doug Sutter, Sutter Roofing Company, Brett Raymaker, Willis Smith Construction, Lem Sharp, Sharp Properties, Inc., Mark Freeman, McIntyre, Elwell and Strammer, General Contractors, Steve Paget, Folly Bryant Architecture, Jeff Charlotte, J.E. Charlotte Construction, Chuck Jacobson, Aqua Plumbing and Air, and John Brown, Attorneys Title Fund Services, LLC. We thank, and I especially thank, each of you for your service during this past year. Let's please give them all a big round of applause. We have another very important group of individuals who volunteer to make GCBX successful. They are our committee chairs. I'd like to recognize each of them and ask them to stand as I say their names. Again, I ask you to hold your applause till the end. Our Events Committee Chair, Kent Hayes, Tandem Construction Company. Membership Committee Chair, Bob Blakey, Coastal Wealth, the Division of Mass Mutual. Education Committee Chair, Jared Hawkins, Atlas Insurance. Subcontractors Council Chair, Chuck Jacobson, Aqua Plumbing and Air. Government Affairs Committee Chair, Paul Steele, Climatic Conditioning. Communications Committee Chair, Josh Helmuth, Lights Insurance. Governance Committee Chair, Paul Steele, Climatic Conditioning. And our Golf Committee Chair, Rich Steele, Climatic Conditioning. Please join me in giving these outstanding volunteers a big round of applause. I have to say, I noticed a couple of them weren't here even though we expected them. I have to say, we felt flu season today at GCBX. I couldn't believe how many people were in a doctor's office today, so I hope they're okay, and that's not part of the reason they're not here. So this is an important evening. We have a lot to do between hearing from our keynote speaker, Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Petronas, presenting the GCBX Lifetime Achievement Award, to a very deserving individual that has given a lot to the commercial contracting industry, Mr. John Miller of Aqua Plumbing and Air. Passing the gavel from Chairman Kevin Hicks to our incoming Chair, Brian Lever, and enjoying a wonderful meal. But our goal is to get all this done and promise you to adjourn by 9 p.m. This evening is the 66th annual GCBX Installation and Awards Dinner. The Gulf Coast Builders Exchange has been representing the commercial contracting industry in the region since 1952. That's a long time, and remarkably, many of the issues that were important enough to prompt a group of the area's leading businessmen to come together to form this organization so many years ago are still important today. We are proud to be your trade association and one of the oldest business organizations in the region. We are also proud to have been building and contributing to the economic prosperity of the region for such a long time. Another important part of tonight's program is to recognize a number of people who have selflessly contributed to making 2017 another successful year for GCBX, including, and perhaps most importantly, our chairman for 2017, Kevin Hicks, CEO of Gator Grading and Paving. Kevin, thank you for your service this year. As is typical of GCBX, under Kevin's leadership, we were not afraid to support good projects because they were controversial. Aqua by the Bay, Carlos, in Manatee County, was one such project. This project will create $1.5 billion in economic value for the community, generate 26 million new tax dollars per year, and create 8,600 new jobs. We need more projects like this to create strong, sustainable communities and a vibrant economy into the future. As we all know, we are facing a crisis with skilled labor. So again, with the leadership of Chuck Jacobson as subcontractors chair, GCBX sought to find solutions to a looming problem by hosting the first annual construction rodeo. The construction rodeo not only introduces high school juniors and seniors in Manatee and Sarasota counties to a profession in the trades, but matches them with GCBX members for apprenticeships and internships. This year alone, Bright Future Electric took on 18 young people from the construction rodeo. Yay, Bright Future. Thank you. The second annual construction rodeo will be held on March 20th at STC. I would like to thank Dr. Todd Bowden, Sarasota School Superintendent, and Sarasota County School Board members Bridget Ziegler, Jane Goodwin, Eric Robinson, and Manatee County School Board members Scott Hopes and John Colon, who are with us this evening, for the cooperation we have received from both school districts for this event. Another topic of critical importance is Decide the Date Sarasota. Commissioner Hagan Brody brought the issue of moving city elections to the fall up for a vote. Unfortunately, he was unable to get a majority of his fellow commissioners to allow this simple concept to be placed on the ballot for voters to decide. So a coalition of organizations, including GCBX, our friends at Argus, the Sarasota Chamber, and the ACLU and NAACP have all come together because we believe Sarasota voters deserve an opportunity to decide if they want to increase voter turnout, maximize community participation, and cut costs and save taxpayer money. This is democracy, folks, and it's important to the industry and your business. I'm sure you saw our friend Marianne Gergich at the beginning of tonight's event, and she will be sticking around after the event if you have any questions or would like to find out how you can help. But on your table, you will see petition cards that look like this. Please, if you live in the city of Sarasota, fill out one of these cards and leave them on your table. We'll pick them up at the end of the night. But we need your help. We need your help to make this pass. So please, each and every one of you, if it's not you, bring it to a friend, a relative, a neighbor. Let's get these petitions signed. Let's get this vote done. Thank you, Hagan. So as you can see, GCBX is hard at work for you and your business. So if you haven't become a member of the Just One Club by recruiting one new member to GCBX, there has never been a better time than now. Please see Albany about becoming a member of the Just One Club. Kevin, it has been a great year at GCBX. Thank you for your leadership. So, 2 years ago, at the 64th annual GCBX annual dinner, we were fortunate to hear a preview of what we now know were the outrageously successful World Rowing Championships held in our region. Then last year, we shared the great news that the Atlanta Braves had decided to build a spring training facility in Northport in South Sarasota County. So considering that our incoming chair, Brian Lever, is Mr. Sports himself, starting as an all-star place kicker at Bowling Green, and then fast forward to today, he is front and center on construction projects such as IMG and the Braves Spring Training Facility. We thought it was only fitting to have a special update on the impact of sports in our region from Ms. Virginia Haley, President of Visit Sarasota, and Sharon Hillstrom, President and CEO of the Bradenton Area EDC. Please help me welcome Virginia Haley and Sharon Hillstrom to the stage.
There we go. Thank you, Mary. You know, you think you're in construction building trades, but you're not. Almost everyone in this ballroom is in the tourism industry. You are either building one of our 13 new hotels that have either just opened or currently under construction, or you're building the new office space for the attorneys and the accountants who service those hotels. Your company might be working on the new renovation or additions to our major attractions, Ringling, Moat, or Selby Gardens. Or maybe your company has worked on the enhancements to our beach park facilities. Again, you are all in the tourism industry. Congratulations. Tourism marketing, funded through the tourist development tax, is the seed corn that keeps our visitors coming to Sarasota County. In the tourism industry, the advertising and marketing ensures that if you build it, they will come. 10 years ago, as part of our strategic planning process, we faced the challenge of bringing visitors to Sarasota in a changing world. As a result, Visit Sarasota transformed the way we market to our customers. It's no longer enough, although it's not bad, to have the best beach in America. The beaches and our beautiful weather will always be an important part of our appeal, but we needed to diversify our audience just as it helps your business to diversify. We focused on 3 key assets: culture, nature, tourism, and you've heard sports. Sports is a powerful example of how you can apply marketing funds to grow a business segment. 10 years ago, we dove into this market, and we were so proud of ourselves that we had 16 events with 16,000 room nights and a $16 million economic impact. We really thought we were pretty hot stuff. So we began to invest more of the marketing dollars in the staffing, sales, and promotion for sports. Well, this past year, not including the amazing, incredible World Rowing Championships, Visit Sarasota sponsored 152 sports events that generated just under 100,000 hotel room nights with an economic impact of $194.5 million. That is worth applause. To put that sports impact in perspective, all the visitors to Sarasota, including the sports, generate $2.9 billion with a B in economic impact. So you can see the kind of impact that the sports has had in the community. And this is what blows my mind. Of the 152 events we hosted, they represent 32 different kinds of sporting events: rowing, equestrian, swimming, beach volleyball, baseball, BMX, softball. If I tried to list them all, Mary would definitely give me the hook. We use sports to fill need, period. As an example, in the weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas, for years in this community, were completely dead. The hotel rooms were empty. Today, because of the multiple soccer, tennis, and baseball events, it is difficult to find a hotel room in this region at that time of the year. So finally, I do want to end by touching on our 2 pro teams. Wow, it does feel great to say 2. The Orioles, and soon, a little bit longer than we had hoped, the Braves. In fact, I was just in Baltimore at their Fan Fest on Saturday, and then Sunday we were in Atlanta for their Chop Fest. I'm learning the Braves lingo. Those Atlanta fans cannot wait to leave the mouse and get to Sarasota County. These relationships with our spring training teams are so important, and the agreement we have with the O's is a great example. The Washington-Baltimore area wasn't even a factor as a source of visitor origins, but because of the unusual advertising arrangement we have where the O's give us $1 million a year in promotion in Masson, their sports network, and in the stadium, the Washington-Baltimore area is now the number 3 visitor origin for Sarasota County. And folks, that's year-round, not just for spring training. So we went from 0 to 3. And that shows the power of sports marketing in our area. So I want to thank you for having us tonight, and I'd like to turn it over to Sharon so you can see the natural ebb of where we go from the sports marketing to the economic development.
So to start, just a little bit about the Bradenton Area EDC for those of you who don't know who we are or what we do. So we're the lead organization for economic development for all of Manatee County. And our job, essentially, we're supposed to diversify the local economy. How do we do that? We attract high-skill, high-wage jobs to the area, and we work with our existing companies to support them when they want to expand their operations. Oops. Ruh-roh. There we go. All right. So our region certainly enjoys an abundance of assets, especially those assets related to sports. As you can see up here, I'm sure you recognize most of these facilities, right? I know a number of you have benefited from these facilities as well. In fact, I know your incoming chair, Brian Lever, and his team at Tandem Construction have enjoyed a very nice relationship with one of our marquee facilities, IMG Academy. As Virginia pointed out, sports tourism is a very nice economic driver for our region. The bigger vision is to aggressively develop the sports performance sector, which is a significant area of focus for the Bradenton Area EDC. Back around in 2011, we kind of had this thought that sports was sort of a big deal in Manatee County, but we wanted to really find out if it was. So we conducted a sports impact analysis, and it absolutely confirmed what we thought, that sports performance was a sector that we should really go after. So several years had passed, and we said, geez, we need to take another look at this sector because a lot of things are going on. Anecdotally, we thought it had grown, but again, we wanted to see some numbers. So last year, we hired consultants, economic development consultants, to do an analysis of the sector, and our assumptions proved true. Whoops. Technology is wonderful. There we go. All right. So let's define the sports performance sector. It's a very broad definition. So it has to do with education, training, research and development, professional services, and manufacturing, all related to the health, wellness, and advancement of sports and athletes. This is a very broad sector. There's a lot of crossover, particularly in the healthcare industry and information technology. Keeps doing some funny things there. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we have this study. Let's talk numbers. That's what you guys want to hear about, right? So the study said that by the year 2022, employment in this sector is projected to grow at 14%. Did you know? We have over 50 sports performance-related companies just in Manatee County. And the economic impact, particularly for the construction industry, let's talk about that. Over $166 million was invested in sports projects by sports performance companies and local government just in Manatee County. Thank you. Thank you. Construction activity related to sports performance supported over 1,000 jobs with a payroll of just under, wait for it, $70 million. You guys, give yourselves a hand. That's you all. And then Manatee County, our economy benefited by more than $105 million. So, we're so excited about this sector. Oops, can we go back? There we go. We're so excited about this sector in Manatee County, and we looked at the numbers and said, we need to brand this. So we are branding it as the Bradenton Area Sports Performance Headquarters. We are a place inspired by sports. Thank you. So, what's our goal? Our goal is going to take some time. But what we want to do, we want to create the best sports performance sector in the nation. And we know our community has the right stuff to do it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. These two ladies are phenomenal. Can we give them another big round of applause for all they do in our community? Thank you. So now is an important part of the evening. We are ready for our keynote speaker, and our friend Senator Mike Bennett, Supervisor of Elections and GCBX board member, is going to join me on stage to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, our CFO, Jimmy Patronis, who's not only our CFO, but I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you, he's running for CFO again and deserves your vote. So thank you, Senator Bennett.
You know, every time I come to one of these things, I'm a little bit shell-shocked of the number of people who I started with years and years and years ago who are no longer here. That's really came. You know, you miss the Gil Waters. My friend John Cox. I got to tell you, Jack, I miss your dad. Well, I got to tell you, when you look around what this crew has done, when you think of the speakers, how important the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange has been, how important you all are to our economy. It's absolutely stunning what you've done. Between the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange and the Argus Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce, we truly have made Sarasota, Manatee County grow. So then I get the opportunity tonight to introduce somebody that, to me, doesn't need an introduction because I'm introducing a friend. And when you introduce a friend, it's kind of interesting over the years, when you think about the speakers that we've had come and join us down here, you know, people who are now governors, people who have been the president of the Senate, the Speaker of the House. They come down here not because we're having a big dinner, but because Sarasota, Manatee County is so important to the state of Florida. And you all are important to the state of Florida. So tonight I get to talk about a good friend of mine. What makes him unique for all of the people that we've had for CFO, truly in the last 15 or 20 years, he's actually signed the front side of a paycheck, okay? And we don't have enough people who understand signing the front side of the paycheck. He grew up in the business, and he grew up in service. He grew up in civic responsibility. It doesn't matter whether it's the Chamber of Commerce or working for the kids or whatever it is, he's always been there. He was on the Public Service Commission, and he fought for your utility bills. He got appointed to be a CFO by the governor, okay? And I got to tell you, the governor turned me down for a couple of gigs, so I know how hard it is to get into that deal, okay? I got to tell you, he and his wife, Katie, are dedicated public service. And I don't want to go on and on because I want you all to meet my friend, Jimmy Patronis.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. And I got to, before I get into my spiel, I got to share, you know, you get elected to the House of Representatives and it's an awesome opportunity to represent your community in Tallahassee. And you start to get into the legislative process and you file bills. And you start to learn that a senator is more powerful than about a dozen House members. Okay? And, you know, they swing a lot of weight. They can make a difference in the process. And they're, you know, they can really control the flow of the process. One senator can bring the entire process to a grinding halt. So that was probably about 5-6 years ago. Well, 5-6 years ago. It was longer than that because you've been down here longer than that. So in Mike Bennett's second to last year, we ran a streamlined permitting bill, and we had an environment where I'd done it for a couple years before, and I'd had some okay senators, and then my last one I was encouraged to reach out to Mike Bennett to be my co-sponsor. So I thought, okay, I've never filed a bill with him before. I'm kind of interested. So then what I would do is we would open up 70 different sections of law, and we'd have issues that would pit the cities against, the Nature Conservancy, or the paper mills versus, whatever permitting group. So, we would have all these different stakeholders together, and I would have these big, huge meetings where I would have everybody around the table, and we'd go through the bill section by section, trying to iron out differences. And I used to love it. In the process, you got to realize when you file a bill and you're running a bill, the advocacy and the lobbyists, they will work one chamber or the other. And I tell you, there is no finer person I've ever run a bill with before in my entire public service career in Tallahassee than Mike Bennett, because I'd work my tail off on that bill. And Mike would tell every one of those lobbyists, special interest groups, whatever, basically to go to hell, and you go talk to Jimmy Petronis. I'm not changing this damn bill. And yeah. And I tell you, when you're trying to make good public policy, to have somebody who's not playing games on the other side, because you'd hope to work together, but as I would work with Senator Bennett through that process, and then at the end we would have a meeting, and that this is what everybody feels like they need, and he trusted me. He trusted me. Novel thing, and I am profoundly honored to be here with you tonight, but more importantly, I'm honored to call you my friend. So let me tell you, it's humbling to be the CFO of your state. When Governor Scott called me back in June, I was very happy. I had a great family business. I've been in the family restaurant business now going on 30 years myself, but my dad is 87, my uncle is 89, and they like to coach now. They don't come in quite as often. They still got grocery privileges. They come in and get toilet paper and milk and cheese and eggs that they need to take home. But I enjoy being able to see the look on their face and the customers on their face when they come into the restaurant. So growing up in that restaurant business, I have known nothing else than being a customer servant. So when the governor called, I had to talk to my family, make sure they're okay. But more importantly, I talked to my wife, Katie, and asked her if it was all right that I leave the family restaurant business, something I've known for 30 years, to go and take the opportunity to be CFO. She gave my blessings, and we moved forward with it. So since July 1, this week will be the fourth time we've changed the oil on the vehicle. It's not a big state; it's an enormous state, and it's just amazing when you think of how diverse and fantastic the state is, and that I get to have the role of protecting your tax dollars every single day. So my family experience goes back for generations. The restaurant business was a great way to build character and understand how to take care of the customer. But the other thing is on the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission affects every single one of you in this room. It's actually probably one of the most unknown agencies we have in the state, because a change that happens there affects every single citizen in the state of Florida. And it's regulating utilities. And now I have the role in the CFO also of regulating insurance companies. They're both utilities. We've got to have them. We've got to have prudent use of the ratepayers' money. At the end of the day, you've got to have a reliable, productive relationship that gives you the peace of mind you need to expand your business, grow your business, understand that who you're doing business with needs to be able to grow their business. And it's got to be reliable, and it's got to be responsible, and it's got to be consumer-centric. So that was an opportunity that I get to bring the skills from the Public Service Commission to the CFO's office. And I'll share with you some of the things we do at the CFO's office. A lot of folks don't realize we had 7 members of the cabinet back in 20 years ago. Constitution Revision Commission that Carlos Baruf is now chairing, shrunk it down from 7 down to 4. It only meets once every 20 years. The fact you got your chairman from this town is a big deal. It's very historic, an incredible honor, and thank you for your service. But as we consolidated the CFO's office, we got rid of the comptroller, we got rid of the insurance commissioner, we got rid of the state treasurer. So we lumped them into the CFO's office. So some things we do that are kind of cool that I'll enlighten you to. So, and I'm trying to speak to since July 1, so this is the only thing I really feel like I can kind of hang my hat on. But we run actually a consumer help hotline. Some of you may have used it. It's 1-877-MY-FL-CFO. So every time we get a phone call, we walk through individuals that have concerns, questions, or challenges dealing with an insurance policy, claim, what have you. So by the calls we've fielded since July 1, we've put over $14 million more into the pockets of our citizens since when they called us. That's without the assistance of any attorneys, public adjusters, whatever that is, using your own state resources. On the flip side, what we do also is we have over 200 sworn law enforcement officers. Those law enforcement officers go out and ensure that fraud doesn't take place in the insurance industry, that get out there and do what they can to ensure that AOB doesn't get exploited in ways that was never intended to, that drives up insurance rates, that keeps it affordable and gets the bad actors out of business. So since July 1, we've made over 400 arrests. We've had over 300 prosecutions, and that also goes into the shell company game that gets played with workers' comp compliance. Our office also does worker comp compliance for the state to ensure that every single one of you have a level playing field when it comes to bidding on jobs competitively against each other. That's okay, you can clap. I like that one too. And here's another one. People don't, I get touched because there's a lot of this I learned on the first time on the job. But we do a lot of federal pass-through. So we regulate also fraud when it comes to food stamps and EBT cards and those federal programs. Just since July 1, we have identified over $10 million of fraud that we were able to protect, that we're going to be gamed out of the system, that insurers goes back to those that truly need it as opposed to those that are wasting your taxpayers' dollars. So thank you. Now here's where get your program and a pin out. I'm going to give you a website I want y'all to check out in a little bit, because this is the one that will surprise you when you get home. I wouldn't go to your phone right now and do it because it's not real phone friendly, but fltreasurehunt.org. Has anybody ever been to our unclaimed property website? I see one hand, two. I know you, because you know about it. Okay. So here's the deal. I'm going to educate you a second. fltreasurehunt.org is our unclaimed property website. Let me just ask you this. Did anybody know that the state had an unclaimed property division? Raise your hand if you did not know they had one. Okay, that's so good. So I'm going to educate you. So if you go to that website, I guarantee you, either you, a member of your family, your company, a company you've been affiliated with, just go in and put the search fields in and look at it. Kind of give you an example of what type of dollars we handle. Since July 1, we've given over $160 million worth of unclaimed property back to the taxpayers of the state of Florida. That's utility deposits, that's insurance proceeds, unclashed paychecks, you name it. So just a few months ago, I sat down with the folks with Baycares, that's a Hillsborough County centered hospital system. Sat down with the CEO. He didn't know why he was meeting with me. I gave him a check for $960,000. Okay, now that was basically okay. We'll clap all night. So, but that in that particular case of $960,000, that was based on a 54-page Excel spreadsheet. Some of them were 98 cents, $1, $10, $500. All these closed accounts, unreturned, uncashed proceeds, they all end up back in the state, and we'll consolidate them and get them back to you. I know, where's Scott Hope's at? I know Scott's here somewhere. All right, so I'm gonna embarrass Scott. So Scott's son had two custodian accounts that the son had forgotten about. Scott reaches out to me a couple months ago. We run into each other, and he tells me about it. And he says, my son had these custodian accounts. We don't know where they're at anymore, and we think they're at the state's receivership. Can you check into it? Darn sure enough, we go and we look at it that night. He's got two accounts over $30,000 son didn't even realize he had. So anyway, so whenever Scott feels like you need to feel sorry for him, he's got money laying everywhere, including in Tallahassee. So anyhow, check out the website. I promise you'll be surprised. So let me touch a little bit on our legislative agenda. As the CFO of the state, the other thing I get to do is I'm also the state fire marshal. That's probably one of the neater jobs I've got. I get to carry a badge like that. I don't use it yet. But as the state fire marshal, we play a role that some of you deal with on a day-to-day basis, and we hope that we're advocating for the right policies that helps this community be able to grow and prosper. At the same time, we have a first responder community that has got a challenge on its hand right now. It's been a compounding challenge. Our first responders, many of you have dialed 911 at some point in your life, some of them with outcomes better than others. But the first responders that we deal with a profession that doesn't always have outcomes that are good. We walk into this building today, it's nice and cool. We go and we turn on a light switch, the lights come on. We go to the faucet and turn the faucet and cold water comes out. We flush the commode, it goes somewhere that we don't care, but it's gone. And we take these things for granted. I learned since I've had this job, you dial 911, the same thing happens. People come running no matter what you've dealt with in life, no matter how horrific the circumstance might be, and they're prepared to do whatever it takes to save the circumstances to have a better outcome. I was in Palm Beach County about a month ago, and I get up real early, and I'm watching the local news, like to see what's going on. So as I'm watching the news from Palm Beach County, there's a 3-year-old girl that has gotten out of her house and ends up in a retention pond. Somebody's going to be called to go find her and then have to deal with sharing with the mama and daddy. They're never going to hug that little girl again. So you think of that, and then you think probably an hour later they're going to get another call that may not be any brighter. This profession has a higher than normal suicide rate, as you can imagine. And so currently right now under Florida law, there is not a route, there's not a path to get them the type of treatment they need, similar to our soldiers and our public servicemen that go abroad. PTSD is something that affects them in a profound way. So we're advocating, as we're moving forward the legislature, we're going to get them the benefits they deserve. We're going to get them treatment options, and we're going to give them access. We're not going to create a new entitlement. We're going to give them the ability to find the needs that the treatment that they need in order to be just as normal as me and you, because every day they ensure that our Floridians are not another statistic. Now, have any of you had a data breach before? Man, y'all must be a cash society. So anyway, when you have data breaches with things like Uber and Equifax and Target, and your credit gets violated and your credit cards get used against your will, a lot of times against your you didn't let this happen to yourself. You're not leaving your credit cards around, but access is happening, and that availability to a good credit rating is critical, especially to this industry. Currently right now under Florida law, and I don't think Mike Bennett had anything to do with the passage of this law, but we're going to change it. Currently right now, if you want to freeze your credit because you had a credit violation where your credit has been exposed, under Florida law, the credit rating agencies have the ability to charge you a fee in order to freeze your credit. So we have bills moving through both chambers to get rid of the freeze fee, to get rid of this burden that gets in the way of you protecting your credit, especially when it happens against your will. The great thing about it is we brought awareness to something that shouldn't be a cost to our citizens, especially when it wasn't their fault. And again, as this is kind of what goes back to the way we ran bills together, innovation comes out of it. The state of Florida has this incredible bully pulpit. And as I realize more and more how to use it, you get the attention of folks that say, hey, you know what, we can do better. And sometimes we can do better without even creating a new law. So as we have started down this process, my phone's been ringing with innovation from the credit rating agencies of how we can make sure we're not in Florida's crosshairs, because we don't need the state of Florida picking a fight with us. We want to work with you, not against you. So we're doing that as also, we feel, as part of our role as being a protector of how you protect your credit. But let me talk a little bit about the other role we play with our storm recovery and insurance fraud. So Hurricane Irma affected this county, affected in a pretty dramatic way, and also the neighboring counties. We were down here the day after Irma hit, and we were, I'll be honest, as great as this state is, I had no idea how much agriculture exists in Manatee County. No idea. And so I'm out touring this area, and you see the flooded areas out in the Water Management District, and the homes and people's economies and jobs that are being affected. And all I'm wanting to do is make sure people understand what to do with their insurance policy. Make sure you've got it in hand prior to the storm. Call us if you got a question after the storm. Don't let anybody get in between you and selling your insurance policy. How many insurance agents do we have in the room? Okay, so you get a commission when you sell a policy. Okay, so I would tell people, did you pay a commission when you bought your insurance policy? Well, they would say yes. I'd say this on the news. And I said, well, don't pay that commission twice. Because that's exactly what happens if you start down the process of finding somebody else to engage you on behalf of your policy when trying to get your benefits met. So again, we would turn up the volume on our insurance hotline, try to get people what they needed, and to ensure that they did not get taken advantage of because of the vulnerable state they were in after Hurricane Irma. Now, the state has recovered nicely. I think the effort that Governor Scott put together was just amazing to evacuate 5 million people off the peninsula. Surprising thing is out of that, there was 8 deaths that took place simply from people leaving generators inside their house as opposed to outside their house. There's something we learn from every storm, and and awareness of how we can tell people how to take care of themselves if they are going to shelter at home is one of them. So the exercise that we went through, which was healthy for us to be prepared to know how to recover when disaster strikes again. But being the second costliest storm in the history of the state, I'm proud to say that we rebounded well, nicely. Over 1 million claims, over half of which have been either settled or dealt with. And our state's economy, as resilient as it is, was key to our recovery. So as Governor Scott, I'm going to brag about him a little bit. Governor Scott's performance since 2010 has been pretty phenomenal. And I'm honored to serve with him on the cabinet, but I'm going to give you some snapshots of some of the accomplishments we've had since 2010. Now, look back at 2006. Who was in the industry in 2006? Okay? 2006, 28,000 building permits were issued in the state of Florida in 2006. 2009, it was down to 2,000 building permits. Interesting enough, one of the provisions that we passed, I hate, for all of our county commissioners that are here, please don't take this personal, but I'm about to tell you something you're not going to like. But one of the provisions we put in our bill that I ran with Senator Bennett was to protect all building permits and extend the life of them for a whole nother year. And we did that 2 times in a row to, and I know sometimes local government doesn't like having Tallahassee tell them what to do, but we knew that the challenges that our state was facing after 2006, with the downturn in the economy, with the downturn in access to capital, there was shovel-ready projects that just needed a little bit of time to be able to take root, so we ensured their permits were protected. But to see that type of a downturn from 28,000 in just 3 layers down to 2,000, we have now rebounded nicely. As of August of 2017, we had issued over 10,000 building permits, almost 11. So we've kind of settled. We've kind of leveled out. In 2006, we had a budget surplus of $6.5 billion in the state. Okay? 2009, just 3 years later, it was down to $900 million. That quick of a change, it's that fleeting, and that's how critical this industry is. That's how much money this industry creates. That's how much, and I call it commission. The commission that this industry creates for the state of Florida is an incredible, powerful engine. And I come from the hospitality industry, and I know our tourism industry is incredibly important, but we need balance. I don't like all my eggs in one basket. So when you're doing well, you know what? We do well too. So seeing that type of change, Governor Scott came in 2010, and every year since 2010, has cut taxes every single year. Since 2010, we have paid down over $10 billion worth of state debt. There hasn't been a governor that has paid down a single dollar of state debt in this state for over 20 years. He's the first one to do it. Yeah. Knowing the importance of a good bond rating, he immediately attacked our bond rating, and that's where he got the incentive, pay down debt. So what we've been able to do also in the last 7 years is refinance, take our good credit rating, refinance our capital, just like refinancing your house. We've saved over $3 billion in just cost to carry interest payments, just interest payments alone that we've been able to save the taxpayers of the state of Florida. As that has been the formula that we've seen, and I count, we're 300 days are left of his governorship, and just what a remarkable change he did. He comes into Tallahassee with an idea. One of the things, we did some consolidation of state agencies, and I remember being on the phone in the car with him as he was on the phone talking to some of his department heads, and he was very simply spoken, very nice, very cool, that, if you can't do your job, I'll get somebody that will. And focusing on ensuring that the services that need to come back to the citizens of the state are met with respect, they're timely, and they're not given the runaround. So that bond rating, let me tell you how much it means. If you compare us to, say, a New Jersey, and nobody's going to move to New Jersey, and I'm going to tell you why. So New Jersey's debt per capita is over $4,400 per every single person. State of Florida, about $1,100. So you think about New Jersey. There's going to be a day of reckoning one day. They're not going to be able to continue down this path. Their state retirement plan for all their state employees, it's funded at 44%. If everybody decided, you know what, I want my retirement check right now, they would get 44 cents on the dollar. Okay? So it's a train wreck, It's out of control, and it brings prosperity to our state because people are fleeing the Northeast because of the tax environment, the fiscal environment they're in, and bringing jobs to Florida. 1.4 million jobs just in the last 7 years that I can't say that we created, I can say y'all created. I'll give you a round of applause. So the tax climate is critical. We're the #1 fiscally rated state in the union. And, I think Governor Scott, every day, I think I've gotten a great opportunity. But, I get worried because, it's like being, top of the coaches poll or top of the UPAI polls. We will be a target. Other states will see the prosperity we've got and realize that it creates the envy, as we worked hard against Texas. The last thing I'm going to do is want this to fail on my watch. So I truly have this honor of waking up every day to look after your dollars. I get to serve with a fantastic cabinet that will have a major shift. We'll have a new agriculture commissioner next year this time. We'll have a new attorney general. We'll have a new governor. I think the CFO will work on see if he can hang around. But the opportunity to lead this state is a critical one, and ensuring that you engage this electoral process about to take place. This is one of the most important that we've probably ever faced in our state. The changes that have happened in Washington, thank God that Washington has finally gone out and started embracing some of the things we've been doing over the last 7 years. The tax changes that have been made should affect every single business in here, and this has been way overdue. But as I look forward to continue service the rest of this year and hopefully long thereafterwards, it has been the honor of a lifetime to be here with you tonight with such a great new set of friends that I hope to meet with again, and folks like Mike Bennett and Carlos Broof and just so many of y'all here that have been so kind to me and invite me down here. I thoroughly appreciate being here. Dinner was great. God bless y'all all.
Thank you.
Are you going to have time for a question or not?
Well, we have a small token of appreciation, so
Thank
thank you for
you.
being our keynote. You want to take just a couple minutes for questions?
If you want.
Take a couple?
Sure.
If y'all don't mind, if, we're right on schedule, okay, and I promised Mary that we wouldn't go over, and I promised Jimmy wouldn't go over. And make sure you understand, when Jimmy bails out that door, I happen to know that he's got a couple more appointments tonight. But if anybody happens to have a personal question for Jimmy Petronas, let's get with it. If you're not, please understand when he bails out of this room, because I know he's got several things to do tonight, and he's got some appointments in the morning. But if anybody's got any question,
If one, you'll get more.
there you go. Please give another round to my friend, Jimmy Petronas.
Thank you. Thank you, CFO Petronas, and I can say I certainly hope the CFO hangs around. That was a great keynote address, and I hope everybody in this room will help support the CFO hanging around. So let's give him another round of applause, please. Okay, so tonight is also a night of appreciation and recognition to members and special individuals who have contributed significantly to our success over the past year. The first award we'd like to give out this evening is the Volunteer of the Year Award. This award is presented to a GCBX member in appreciation for their unselfish contribution and dedication to the Builders Exchange and our mission. This year's winner is Courtney Moffitt. Courtney, please come forward to accept this award and our deep appreciation for your contribution of time, energy, and creativity in 2017. At GCBX, we know we can always count on Courtney to assist at every golf tournament. With her big smile and quiet charm, she helps make every tournament a success. Aside from the fact that she's always great to share a cold beer with after the work is done, let's show Courtney our appreciation with a big round of applause. Come on up here and grab this award. Here we go. Oh yeah, we'll turn that. Thank you. Thank you, Courtney, and thanks for all you do to help make our tournaments a success. A couple of years ago, the GCBX Board instituted a new award named after our past chairman, Darrell Turner. We fondly refer to Darrell as our membership machine at GCBX. Membership is the lifeblood of our organization, so this award is extremely important to us. Darrell, could you please join me on stage to present this award? Where is Darrell? Come on up. So this year, here he comes, this year, there's a tie for this award. Our award this year goes to both Jeff Charlotte of J.E. Charlotte Construction and Brett Raymaker of Willis Smith Construction. Come on up, gentlemen. Both Brett and Jeff are GCBX board members, and both are tireless in their commitment to the commercial contracting industry and the community. We appreciate everything both these men do for the industry and for GCBX. Come on up. Where'd we lose Jeff? Come on, Jeff. Come on down. There we go. Come on, Jeff. You want me to get in the middle? All right, get in the middle. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Let's give both Jeff and Brett a huge round of applause. It's now time to present the Chairman's Award for 2017. This award will be presented by your chairman, Kevin Hicks. Kevin, would you please join me on stage for the presentation of this award? As is our custom every year, it is the honor of the chairman to present the GCBX Chairman's Award. This award is given to a public servant who has demonstrated extraordinary service, commitment, and contribution to our community and has been supportive of the commercial contracting industry. This year's awardee is Manatee County Administrator Ed Hunsecker. Ed first became Manatee County Administrator in 2006. Ed Hunsecker is known best for his big heart and his razor-sharp mind. You can learn more in a 10-minute conversation with Ed than in a college course on any subject on the table. From finance to politics, he's always the smartest person in the room. Ed has seen the county through the worst of times during the Great Recession and through the recovery. He is a man who takes it personally when having to let employees go due to a downturn, and the one who has the most pride when an employee receives recognition from the commission. As Sharon Hillstrom will attest, Ed understands the importance of economic development and gives his complete support to keeping the county's economy healthy and vibrant. Ed, thank you, and you are so deserving of tonight's award.
I didn't know they'd let me get to the microphone. I want to thank you for this honor. This is truly an honor, a blessing. I'm humbled. We do what we do because we recognize the customer as king. We've set that mantra out in our county government. It's a mantra that you don't often hear in government, but we understand that those that pay the bill ought to be receiving the best service we can provide. During the downturn and the recession, we had to take out 25% of the government, 18% of the workforce. And since the recession, we've had a 25% increase in the population. We haven't hired all those people back, but we continue to provide quality service, and we look to you and we thank you for what you do, because without growth, this community would not prosper. Thank you very much for this.
Ed, we are truly honored to have presented this award to you. And I personally have considered it an honor and a privilege to work with you since you first came to Manatee County, and appreciate the lessons you have taught me from Big Ed along the way. Thank you, Ed. Now it is time to present our final, yet one of the most special awards for the evening, the GCBX Lifetime Achievement Award. This award is given annually to someone who has contributed to the commercial contracting industry throughout their lifetime. It is the highest award we bestow at GCBX, and it comes with all the honor, respect, and distinction these recipients have earned. Past recipients are listed in your program. At this time, I'd like to invite Chuck Jacobson on stage to introduce tonight's honoree.
It's truly an honor to be up here tonight. I have the distinct privilege of introducing this year's Lifetime Achievement Award honoree. As I look around the room and earlier in the reception area, many of you in this room know this gentleman as Aquaman. Personally, for me, other than my own father, there's been no man in my life that has ever been more influential in the development of my life and my career than Mr. John Miller.
John, if you'd please join us. Thank you. Now, if you would please turn your attention to the screens for a short presentation about Mr. Miller.
I was always interested in automobiles, so I thought I was going to be an auto mechanic. From the 7th grade on through high school, I was working at an Amoco station. So one day out of the blue, a customer, his name was Owen Mizell, asked me if I had any interest in becoming a plumbing and learning the plumbing trade. And I'm not quite sure why I said yes, but I did, and I'm glad I did. So that's how that got started. In 1972-73, we got into a bad recession, and Sun State wasn't going to make it. So I thought, well, now's probably the time for me to go in business. In February of 1974, something that maybe a lot of people don't know is that me and Ronnie Foxworthy were brother-in-laws. I called him and asked him what his thoughts were, and he thought I should come back to Sarasota and start a plumbing repair business. AQUA, the A stands for accountability. The Q stands for quality, and the U stands for uncompromising service, and the other A is for assurance. And I thought, you know, I like that. That can be our mission statement. Our goal was to always give the contractor what they want. Okay, we're going to give them a good job, an honest job, and we're going to give them the best job that anybody can give them. Okay. And that gave us a great reputation. I wanted to set myself apart from the competition, okay, and I thought I could do it better. I learned, everybody I worked for, I took something away, the positives, and I stored them back in my mind. But I was very concerned about image. I thought image was really, really important. One of the things that I sometimes have said to Chuck was, you know, sometimes you have to fake it until you make it. We're not always as successful as we look, but that image is very, very important because eventually it'll come. When I started Aqua, we were primarily service-related repairs and small remodeling. I tried very hard not to step on rusty plumbing, aero plumbing, the established plumber's toes. I did not go after their contractors or bid with their contractors, okay? So I just felt that, that I needed to be very loyal. And I've always been loyal like that. So Ron Royal was a contractor that came to me, actually, I believe, for a bid. And so we were very successful working for them. But that was the first job we did for them, I believe, was the Excelsior Beach and Bay condominium. Contractors we worked for, W.G. Mills, Half Acre, Trans Florida, Dale Piers. Those are some names from the past that I don't think are. Charlie Wilson's still around. We did a lot of work for Charlie Wilson. I think most of those contractors were members of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange. One of the ones that I was really proud of was the Ed Smith, the first Ed Smith stadium. We did that in, well, it was in the 80s. I'm not quite sure the exact mid-80s. I thought that was a prestigious job, and we got very good recognition from it. We had no problems with that job. Everything went together very well. You know, the first thing I remember about the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange was their bid depository. When I was with Patrick, I used to deliver the quotes. There was a cutoff, like 2 o'clock, okay? I'd have to get there before 2 o'clock and turn that bid in, and then everybody would kind of hang around and wait for that bid opening to see who the general contractor was, and then see who the low plumbing contractor was and low electrical contractor. And I thought that was really neat. There was so much fairness in a system like that. That's one of the reasons, one of the first things I did was I wanted to join the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange. For sure after we started bidding commercial work. I couldn't afford to do it the first year or two, but I believe we joined the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange in 1976. I wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for the mentors in my life. It started, you know, I wouldn't be here if Owen Mizell wouldn't have taken an interest in me for some reason and saw something that said, you know, do you want to learn the plumbing trade? Okay. I wouldn't be here if Patrick from Patrick Plumbing didn't mentor me on how to do estimates and become an estimator. And then allowed me to go to Tampa and be his assistant when he was managing Sun State Plumbing. I mean, to me that was incredible. Ronnie Foxworthy. We were brother-in-laws, but I never liked to use his name. He was so well respected, and I didn't think it was fair to you know, use his name and try to get something achieved that way. I wanted to do it on my own. And Ron Royal was one of the first contractors that gave us the opportunity to do most of their work. The first year, I think I did $65,000, okay? And we ended up being a $17 million company, okay? And when I think about that, I'm in awe myself. It's like, how did we do that? How did a skinny kid, shy skinny kid who used to pump gas at an Amoco station end up with this? And I certainly didn't do it alone. I had a lot of good help. And but it's just it's hard to believe sometimes.
Please.
Oh, good evening. I realized a long time ago that if I keep my mouth shut and smile, my IQ goes up 50 points. So, there is no greater honor than to be recognized by your peers. It's something I never expected in my wildest dreams. The GCBX is a great organization. I'm not sure I deserve this award, but I have to thank you, GPX, from the bottom of my heart. I am very honored to receive it, and I'm still kind of stunned, but thank you. When I stop and think about it, I am kind of in awe of how Aqua grew from one employee to over 140 employees. However, it wasn't about me. It was about people, customers, staff, and employees. People like Ronnie Foxworthy, who helped many people get started, including me. People like Mary Willis, who was with me from the very first day and is still with Aqua today. She does consulting and accounting. Mary taught me everything I needed to know about overhead and profit. And she also talked me into buying a small air conditioning company and was very instrumental in the success that it brought to the company. People like Ron Royal, who we miss, Ron Gallion, they gave an unknown entity the opportunity to shine. As did others like Willis Smith, Bill Halfacre, W.G. Mills, and many, many more. Most were members of the GCBX. And then there's people like Chuck Jacobson and Skip Stanton. They were dedicated, loyal, and motivated to make Aqua successful. If you ever happen to drive by Aqua's shop after hours, more than likely you would see the lights on and their trucks in the parking lot getting ready and preparing for the next day's work. People like Ken Jackson, our service manager, who helped elevate our service department to another level. People like John Boytina, in charge of business development. He doesn't count hours in the day, he just does whatever it takes. And then there's people like Kathy Robinson, our bookkeeper, for over 20 years. There are many, many more, like Justin Miller, my son, who's a top service technician. They don't complain when calls come in at midnight or on holidays for an emergency. Aqua's entire staff was and is second to none. And then there's my beautiful wife, Colleen, who many, many people know. And I say, she makes retirement happy and fun every day. Thank you, honey. And finally, after 42 years, it was time to let it go. And I'm happy and proud that I was able to sell Aqua to two of my most trusted friends and managers, Chuck Jacobson and Skip Stanton. They're doing an outstanding job of running the company and continuing with the same principles that made Aqua successful. I will always kind of miss Aqua. but it is refreshing when I visit on occasion and I go through the front door and I see that nothing's changed much. The culture is the same, and it really gives me a good feeling. I know they'll be successful for a long time, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Every year I'm just inspired by our Lifetime Achievement Awardees, and this year is no different. Thank you again. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you for being an inspiration to all of us. Now, to one more important issue before we pass the gavel and adjourn for the evening. At this time, I'd like to call on our board member, John Brown, to certify the results of the election of the GCBX board members for 2017. Mr. Brown?
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening. Stage right for everybody. The Governance Committee has determined that a quorum for the election of 5 members to the Board of Directors was present in person or by proxy. The votes were tabulated, and the results are that the following persons have been elected by the membership to serve 3-year terms on the governing board of directors of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange. Those board members are, and if you would please stand, Steve Paget of Foley Bryant Architecture, Jason Swift of John F. Swift Construction, Paul Steele of Climatic Conditioning Company, and you guys are standing, and Daryl Turner, Cypress Services LLC, and Michael Bennett of Bright Future Electric. Congratulations and welcome back to the board, gentlemen.
Congratulations. Let's give these board members one more round of applause, please. And now, Kevin, it is time for the official passing of the gavel. Thank you.
Good evening. Allow me to start by again congratulating all the award winners tonight, and I also want to say a thank you to CFO Petronis. If you would please pass on that message, I would appreciate it. But how about another round of applause for all the award winners tonight? Thank you. Next, I'd also like to thank you, the members of the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange, for the opportunity to serve this year as your chairman. It has both been an honor and a privilege to do so. There are a few other people that I'd like to thank tonight, and that is, I would like to first and foremost thank my wife, Linda, who's sitting over here. My son, Ed, sitting next to her. And my business partner, Mike Novak, who's also sitting next to my wife, all of whom work with me at Gator Grading and Paving. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all your support that you give to me. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Board of Directors, our sponsors, the committee chairs and their committees, and all the volunteers for all the time and financial support that you give to the Gulf Coast Builders Exchange that allows us to be both fortunate and be also proud to build. So again, thank you very much. And last and not least, I'd like to thank Mary and Albany and the entire support staff for what they do to make GCBX one of the most successful and respected organizations in the Sarasota-Manatee area. Please a round of applause for them. I lost you, Mary. Anyhow, thank you for a wonderful year. Now I have the privilege to pass the gavel on to your next chairman. Brian, I want to share some thoughts about, I'm actually going to share some thoughts about you that were provided to me by Peter Hayes, who is the president and founder of Tandem Construction, where Brian serves as a vice president and a principal of the organization. Although I don't have time to share them all, I would like to at least share his comments about their first meeting. Brian and his wife were interested in relocating to the area from Orlando, and his mother-in-law, Terry, a friend of Peter's, had asked if he could give Brian some advice on the West Coast regional market, making clear that this was not an interview opportunity. So they met in December of 1999, and Peter also made it clear to Brian that Tandem was not looking for any project managers at the time, but he would be happy to work with Brian and give him some guidance. Peter said that not long into the conversation, approximately 20 minutes, he found himself diving deeper and looking for insights into Brian's personal management style and how he handled certain situations and responsibilities. And so, okay, Peter said the conversation was turning into an interview. So Brian started working for Tandem about 2 months later, during the time he and his wife had their very first child. So during Brian's first week on the job, Peter found out that Brian might have gone a little bit too far in securing his new position by naming his son Hayes. Daughter. So yes, Hayes Lever. Brian, I've heard of people sucking up, but naming your daughter after your new boss, I believe that takes the cake. So as Mary stated earlier, Brian was a place kicker for Boise State and was Bowling Green. I know it started with a B. Bowling Green. So, and was part of the 1994 AP All-American football team with other players like Kerry Collins and Warren Sapp. We would like to share with you a little clip from the Bob Hope broadcast.
Brian Lever, place kicker, Bowling Green State University. Bob, I hope all your Christmases are white. That's going to be tough, though, in Palm Springs, but...
The AP All-America Offensive Team. The best of the best. The finest in collegiate sports. And tomorrow's star athlete. Well, there they are, Bob. This year's AP All-America team. Watch for them in the pros.
So let's get this kicked off. Brian, please come forward and accept the gavel as the new GCPX chair.
All right, thank you very much. I'll tell a few stories in a moment. That was very interesting. Kevin, thank you for such a wonderful year. Getting to learn from you was fantastic. I hope I can fill your shoes. It was a great year for the GCBX. I'm hoping to have another one this year.
You will.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. All right, well, that was unexpected. So, well, thank you. All right, I'm going to start with, yes, that was me. And I am actually 5'5" 3/4", and those other guys were much taller than I was. So it was interesting being a place kicker in college. It was a great opportunity to have your education paid for, and had a great time, met a lot of great people, and enjoyed it very much. So thank you for bringing up those memories. All right, so I want to thank Mary and Albany. Without them, this this great organization would not succeed the way we do. It's been fantastic, my time on the board and now leading into my year as the chair. I'm really looking forward to it. I'd also like to thank tonight for the staff from the Hyatt. What a great event. Very well done. Thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. So I guess I'm going to add a little bit here because of my daughter's name being Hayes. So just to clear that up, my wife Catherine and I decided to name our daughter Hayes the day before I met Peter Hayes. So my mother's maiden name is Hayes, and that's where the name comes from. So it does sound like sucking up, and I guess in some small way it was. But it's worked out well for me, so I'm going to take it. So I do really want to thank my wife Catherine. One of the things she inspires me to be a better person every day. Thank you, honey. And lastly, I'd like to thank the board of directors and the members of the GCBX for allowing me the opportunity to serve as the chair of this great organization. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it will be a great year working alongside Mary and all of our opportunities for a great year. As an organization, we have many things to accomplish this year, continuing our work with the county on the UDC and the LDRs, supporting the Decide the Date in the city of Sarasota. I'm a city of Sarasota resident, so I will be out there. I'll be signing the petition. So thank you for that. The school board referendums, both Manatee and Sarasota County, things that we will be focusing on this year in the GCBX. We will continue to collaborate with our friends at Argus, visit Sarasota, the Bradenton area EDC, and also the Manatee and Sarasota Chambers, and also the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance. So as my first official act, and early, by the way, before 9 o'clock, meeting adjourned. Yes.